Thank you so much for deciding to hang out with me today. I really appreciate your precious time here, and I am actually excited to share this because it's very important for me to say this. And this isn't philosophy, this is what neuroscience shows. This is how the body and brain and your thoughts and feelings actually behave, because this channel is all about exploring our thoughts and feelings the best way possible. We're diving into our souls using neuroscience. Most people think thoughts appear in real time, like you see something and then your mind reacts, which is true, but very often your body has already been quietly shaping what kind of thoughts are even possible in each moment. Not in a huge, like dramatic way, but in small physical, almost boring ways that add up. For example, it's so many mundane things like even stuff like carbon dioxide. Your brain is extremely sensitive to carbon dioxide, not just oxygen, carbon dioxide. If CO2 rises even a little, the brainstem, part of your brain, can shift your body into a slightly more alert or uneasy state. This small mundane thing can turn neutral situations to start feeling tighter. And not just situations, I'm talking about how your thoughts view situations and how situations seem to talk to you. Just this, and it's billions of things, not literally, but it's so many things, from your hormones, the blood, organs. But I thought the best thing would be, because neuroscience is not easy to explain, so the best thing would be if I try to explain a little by little in every hangout with you. So if CO2 rises even a little, your thoughts can turn more lonely, more tense. Your situations can feel like they're hurting you more. And another mundane thing, we're not talking about serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, those important hormones. We'll cover them in other videos, and we've covered them in different videos. Now add such a mundane basic thing as sleep debt. When you haven't slept enough, parts of the prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking brain, part of the brain responsible for thoughts, parts of the prefrontal cortex that usually help you put space between you and your thoughts, becomes less steady. So the same random thought that would normally pass by like background noise suddenly sticks. Imagine any random thought that's trying to hurt you. Only such a mundane detail can hurt more. It's like this situation starts to shout at you more loudly, and you feel like you're weak, you feel like you're sensitive, you feel like, oh, just think positive. And this is why I'm sharing this, because it's so stigmatized and people don't realize how important is to know the true origin of our feelings and thoughts. It's one of the most important things ever, because that's where we start, that's who we are, that's where we are. So it lingers, it feels louder than it should. Blood sugar plays its own quiet game too. When glucose availability dips, the brain becomes more energy protective, more conservative, more likely to flag things as problems. And it will seem like life suddenly became worse, but it's not because of that, it's because the brain is literally running on a tighter fuel budget. Even body temperature nudges things. When your core temperature shifts, the hypothalamus, part of your brain, adjusts your internal state. And your emotional tone often follows that shift without asking for permission. Hydration matters more than people realize. A small drop in fluid balance can suddenly increase perceived effort in the brain. Thoughts don't necessarily become more negative, but they can start to feel heavier to carry. Like the same situation in your life now started to be harsher at you. Posture feeds back too. When the chest is tight and breathing stays high and shallow for long periods, the vagus nerve input to the brain changes, and the brain quietly updates its prediction of how safe does the body feel right now. And here's where it gets interesting. Your brain is not waiting patiently for your conscious thoughts, but your brain is not waiting patiently for your conscious thoughts. And the thoughts you are thinking, it's not that you were like, okay, let's now feel tormented, let's now feel so harsh, let's now feel like I'm in hell and there's no escape. It wasn't you in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so your brain is not waiting patiently for your conscious thoughts, even though you have 100% free will and etc. But your brain is constantly trying to stay one step ahead, like a music app that preloads the next song before the current one finishes. Based on your body state, your brain starts buffering certain emotional tones and thought patterns in advance. So later, when a moment of silence appears, or your attention turns inward, those preloaded thoughts are already sitting there, ready to surface. This is why sometimes an old, intrusive thought can come back online almost instantly. And it's not because you summoned it, not because something extraordinary happened, but because your system drifted back into a body state that in the past was often paired with that thought pattern. The brain loves patterns like that. It saves energy, it moves fast, it prepares early. So what feels sudden at the conscious level is often the final step of a process that started minutes or even hours earlier inside the body. Your breathing shifted, your sleep pressure accumulated, your glucose dipped, your nervous system tilted slightly toward tension, and the brain, doing what prediction machines do, started lighting up thoughts that usually match that internal weather. Then you notice the thought, and it feels like it came out of nowhere. But biologically, it had footsteps long before it knocked on the door. And once you start seeing this pattern in yourself, a strange kind of clarity appears. Maybe not because the thoughts stop overnight, but because you begin to notice the quiet physical currents underneath them. The small body shifts, the subtle pressure changes, the invisible setup phase most people never realize is happening. And from there, your inner world starts to make a lot more sense. For this season of this channel, I want to explore our feelings and thoughts through neuroscience. Maybe later we can use philosophy, but I think it's insanely important to talk about this because it's so twisted in this world and people are shaming other for feeling terrible whilst they lack the knowledge about feelings. And knowledge about feelings should be available for literally anyone, no matter if you're 5 years old or 50 years old, or if you have 3 college degrees, or if you have high school diploma, whatever. I think it's sad that in 2026 we still shame people for how they feel, shame people, and so many people lose their lives because of lack of knowledge, because of a brutally natural thing that is happening to ourselves, to us, that is our feelings and thoughts. And people are like, oh, don't talk about thoughts and feelings, that's weak. Shut the like, we're talking about biology, we're talking about nature, like, and this is, and it's 2026. And look at the economy. I'm not talking about, this channel is not about the economy, but look at the world situation right now. Look what's happening. And yet people say stuff like this about our feelings and emotions. Thank you so much for your precious time. Feel free to explore our feelings and emotions even more in other videos, but absolutely no pressure. Take care, especially take care. And I can't wait to catch you soon.